All right, guys, here in the shop, and I'm gonna go over the circle burner. I get a lot of people asking about it, and I've been using this one, and I've finally decided to make another one. This one works good. It's just got some design flaws that I don't like about it. The hole here is a little bit too big, so this thing will shift on you every now and then. It's borderline too short this way, and these set screws, they need to be in my opinion, they need to be to where you can barely snug it and still be able to rotate this and keep your size. And if you're trying to fine tune something, you need to be able to move it by hand and it still stay. I just have to use my pliers, and it goes too loose. It's either too loose or too tight, and it's hard to fine tune it when you're trying to dial the torch into a specific size. So what I've done to try to make this easy, I've ordered some lockable collars off the McMaster car. Ordered the size to just fit right onto the barrel there. And this is a 3/8 lockable collar. The 3/8 lockable collar is going to take the place of this, and it's the lockable collar. It allows you to snug up on this Allen, and it kind of just squeezes around it evenly, so you can still rotate it in the lockable collar, and you pretty much just leave it tight and then never have to worry about loosening and tightening this little Allen there, as long as you don't have to adjust the height. But what I plan on doing for the height is just adjusting the height in this collar. It'll be easier, I think, to adjust the height, because depending on the tip and how hot you've got it set, sometimes you need to go closer or back further. So pretty much this whole thing's gonna be built out of this lockable collar, this 3/8 lockable collar, a piece of 3/8 cold roll, and then the center is gonna be made, the point that goes into the center mark is made out of a annular cutter. I've got a lot of these laying around that I'll never need, so it's a good hard piece of steel. I also use it for center punches from time to time. So we'll get right into it. I'll kind of make some short clips of breaking this job down into the steps that I'm gonna take to get this made up. All right, the first thing I'm gonna do is just bend a 90 in this 3/8 cold roll here. And I don't know exactly how long I want it to be. Let's see. We'll shoot for about 3 inches, roughly. Pretty close. Pretty close to a 90. If you put a little heat on it, you'd get more of a crisp bend, but it'll work just fine. All right, the first step's just gonna be to weld. I got a piece of 3/8, a little short piece, a little spacer. Get this off of here, if I can set it down on the table. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this out so it sits flat. And I'm gonna weld in those two just like that. All right, I got those welded in. Now this is going to be the piece that the center goes on, so I'm just going to give it a little test, see how it fits. One thing that you want at this point is going to be to determine the length of this right here. So right now, I can go over there and cut it off once I mark how long it needs to be. Because what you're going to want is, if I would have welded this on right now, right there, that is as small as the circle can ever be from this. This will be your radius. So I want to make sure I cut this right up against the tip to where this piece ends up being right there. So my circle will be as small as it can be, because sometimes this thing can cut a pretty small hole pretty accurately. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark this, take it over to the little bandsaw and saw that off, and I'll get right back to it. Okay, I got this cut off to where this end is barely up against the tip there, and when I put my center on there, the center is going to butt up right up against the tip every time. That way, cut a hole as small as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and just tack this center on there real quick and give it a little test, see how it lines up. I can already see now that I'm going to want to cut this tip a little bit shorter, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. So this one right here is also going to be able to cut a lot bigger diameter circle than the one I have right now. So that's it. I mean, that's it's ready to use right now. So it doesn't take a whole lot. You can take a lot of the hard work out of this job by just simply ordering these locking collars. I don't remember exactly what size this was but I'll put it in the title of the video so y'all be able to find it. Right now I've locked this Allen down, this set screw down as tight as it'll go. If I had a different Allen wrench, I could probably get it a little tighter, but right now it allows me, it's pretty hot, it still allows me to rotate it, and that's plenty tight enough for any circle cutting task. That what I do sometimes, or say I have a shaft that needs to go in something and I've got a little bit of test material, what I'll do is I'll come on my scrap material and I'll cut a hole, just cut it and check it. It might be a little too big or it might be a little too small, but having this adjustability right here to sit there and look at it and bump it in and out just a little bit is going to be a whole lot better than having to loosen up, move it, and tighten back up. And then if I needed to make that hole bigger, I'll come over here, make another test cut, check my workpiece, see if it slides in so I get the fit that I'm looking for. Sometimes you have to you don't have any scrap material, you might have to just cut the hole, but if I'm trying to be real precise, I'll always cut a few pieces while I check to make sure I get the exact size. And once you get this thing set, if you set the torch the same way every time and your tip stays clean, you can cut 20 holes and they'll all be pretty close to the same. As long as your tip don't get all dirty. Sometimes your tip gets dirty and makes a bigger kerf in your cut. This is my favorite barrel torch. I don't know what brand it is. I have looked online. I've got two other Victors the same size that I don't like using, simply because the way the lever is. It's not really a deal breaker, but ever since I've been using this one, I like the way you turn the oxygen on with this torch here. It's just, you just flip it like that. It's very easy to just flip that and twist it. The Victor style have the lever, it still works fine, but it's just not as user friendly to me. And this torch, don't know what brand it is online. This is the cheapest torch with this lever. So this is the cheapest one you can get. The Victor ones, they're not very cheap to buy in the barrel torch like this. So I would recommend going the cheaper route to get the valve, the oxygen lever, to be like that. It works great. Having the barrel torch versus a straight torch with a lever, I've never used one with the lever, but I can tell you how handy it is to be able to rotate just this barrel in your hands to cut a circle versus trying to hold a lever down and rotate it in your hands. I'm sure it would still work, but it's just not going to be as user friendly. The short barrel torch, I've got one short barrel torch that I used for a little while with a circle burner. I thought that was going to be the ticket, but it's not, because on the short barrel torch, you end up having to rotate on all your valves up here. And if you've used a torch long enough, you know that bumping these just a little bit will throw your settings off. So I like the longer barrel for the circle burner. This tool I use it for way more than just cutting circles. If I've got a radius, some corners, if you're cutting something, you've got an arch in it, you can run this on out. If you're really trying to be pretty with it, you can dial this in to whatever radius inside your part, and you can cut all your radiuses. But that right there, just with that setting, I'll show you what diameter that's going to be able to cut. So that's going to be able to cut a 12-inch hole. Anything bigger than that, I'd get out my actual circle burner that goes on the torch, but I can't stand using those because you got to have 50 foot of clearance, it seems like, to get all the cords and everything. Not really 50 foot, but it seems like that. You've got to be able to walk around the entire workpiece. And that's just not something I like doing, especially if you're working off the edge of a table and you're trying to cut a circle. You've got to swing the hoses and everything across the table. It might not sound like an inconvenience to y'all, but it is to me. So that's it on this. It's a quick and easy little job. This is just a little knob I put on the one Allen bolt there, just to make it to where this is the one I'm gonna be adjusting my height on. So you can do that with a set of gloves on, no problem. Adjust your height, lock it back down. This one right here, the way it seems, probably never even adjust that one again. It's perfect. You can run it in, or, you know, what I used to do on the other one, while I had it, you know, while I had the torch on, if I knew I needed to come out, I'd just grab it. You might be able to grab it up here with some knurled pliers. Grab it right there and just twist the torch. And when you twist the torch, it changes your distance. So, you know, if I had a line that I was looking for, and I was almost right there on it, and needed to come out a little bit, I just grab it and work it out. You know, you can cut in, adjust it, and finish your cut. But to me, this is a very valuable tool, and I hope these two locking collars help. This is a much simpler, cleaner design than I had. It takes away, you know, we can go from all the way to probably, I don't know, three-quarter inch hole there, all the way to a 12-inch hole right there in one attachment. So maybe it'll help. And I'll show a little video of this cutting a circle real quick, so y'all can see this in action if y'all hadn't. But it's a very valuable tool. You should definitely make yourself one if you do any kind of fabricating. Like I said, look for the inexpensive torch, the barrel torch. You'll be much happier with the more inexpensive one than the Victor brand.